All right. Sorry about that. We'll give everyone a few minutes just to kind of get back here. Okay, so most people are looks like they're returning. I'm scared to hit anything now. Uh, but so let's take this. So we just figured out that's 2 and -1 will give us that. So this would actually go to this. N plus 2. My next line would be n plus 2, n minus 1. Okay. And then, of course, that's set equal to 0 over here. So then that's n plus 2 equals 0 and n minus 1 equals 0. When I subtract 2 from both sides, I get n is equal to -2 and n is equal to 1. Can you hear me okay, Taylor Rice? Okay, cool. All right, so sorry about that. Okay, so now we talk about, okay, so these are my two answers. So from here, we factored it, got that. I got n equals -2 and n equals 1. All right. So what that means is this. These are our two answers here. But here is the thing with this whole extraneous solution. Okay. Um, and extraneous solutions, this is going to sound extremely confusing. Okay. But here's what an extraneous solution is. Define. All right. An extraneous solution is anything. Well, hold on just a second. Let me look at something. Okay, sorry about that. An extraneous solution makes the value of a denominator in the original equation, zero. Let me scoot that over. Sorry. Wrong way. So what we're saying here is this. Will either one of these make this not work? Will either -2 or 1 make this here not, or make that 0? Sorry. So if I plug a -2 in there, will it make it 0? No, it'll make it -4. If I plug a -2 in there, it'll just make it -4. I can't plug anything there, so I don't have to worry about that. Plug in a 1. 1 makes that 2. 1 makes that 2. So both of these answers are correct. So we would say -2, comma, -2, comma 1. So same thing as above, but what we're doing that's different is this right here. We just got to make sure, we got to ask ourselves, will either one of those make the denominator 0? If not, then you're good. All right, so then let's jump over to number 6. We got n minus 1 over 2n. So the first step is to find an expression that will cancel everything. So I have 2n squared, and n. Sorry about that. And if you remember what I said up in the beginning problem, I said normally look at the largest one and ask yourself, will the largest one, will it work here? Okay. So remember how I said 2, 3, and 12? Always look at the largest number and see, and always start there. So I'm going to start at the largest polynomial, which is 2n squared, and just ask myself, if I use 2n squared, will it cancel 2n? Yes. Will it cancel n? Yes. So therefore, this right, 2n squared would be what would be what I multiply everything by. All right. So here we go. So I'll multiply everything by 2n squared. I'm just going to write it on this side. So distribute, distribute, distribute. All right. Then from there, I just set up everything. So I'm going to say 2n squared over 1 times n minus 1 over 2n equals, now look at this, 2n squared and 2n squared. I can just write the numerator. N squared plus 8n plus 15. And then minus, make sure you do your minus symbol there. 2n squared over 1 times 4 over n. And then we just clean up everything. All right, so here we go. The 2's cancel. This n and that n cancel. Let me draw a little line of divide here. And that takes me to this, n times n minus 1. Now, some of you just want to distribute that. I just write it like that to start. And then n squared plus 8n plus 15. And then minus whatever this is going to be in here. So here, my n cancels with one of those n's, which is just marking off the square. And then 2n times 4 is 8n, so minus 8n. And since that's just a monomial, I don't have to distribute the negative. I can just attach it to the 8n. Now let's clean up this over here. That's going to lead us to n squared minus n is equal to, now what can we do over here? I got 8n and minus 8n. So 8n minus 8n actually cancels. Cancel, cancel. I'm left with n squared plus 15. So then from here, I'll subtract n squared from both sides. That cancels. And n squared minus n squared actually cancels as well. And then I have negative n equals 15. But I can't leave the variable with a negative, so divide both sides by -1. And I get n is equal to 15. I check to make sure it will not make the denominator 0. It does. If I plug a 15 there, or there, none of that will make it 0. So that is my correct answer. N equals 15. Negative 15. You're right, Tara. Sorry. Negative 15. Sorry. Negative 15 because 15 divided by -1 is negative 15. Yes, Maddie, you're correct. Sorry about that. I'm all over the place today. Okay. So that's that. Now let's jump to the back. Gave us a little bit more space to work with here. Okay. Now, looking at number 7 real quick. I have 6n. I look at my denominators. I need something that's going to make each of these cancel. Okay. So I normally, and I'm looking at 2n cubed, 3n squared, and 6n squared. So the way I would look at this is look at 2, 3, and 6 first. Look at 2, 3, and 6 first. And really what you ask yourself, what's the least common multiple of 2, 3, and 6? And that would be 6. So we know that 6, when we multiply all those by 6, because 2 will go into 6, 3 will go into 6, and 6 will go into 6, it's going to cancel all those. But then I have an n cubed, an n squared, and an n squared. Well, I know n squared would take care of both of these, but it wouldn't take care of this one right here. So I need it to be 6n cubed. 6's take care of the 2, 3, and 6, and n cubed will cancel out the rest of them. Which makes this a little bit challenging because none of these right here, none of these are the denominator. So let's multiply everything by 6n cubed. Distribute, distribute, distribute. But it shouldn't be too bad. Nothing that we cannot handle. Okay, so here we go. We're going to say 6n cubed over 1. Same thing on just like we did on the front. We say what we have times 1, and then I need to multiply it times all this right here. Times n minus 3 over 6n squared. That is equal to the quantity of 6n cubed over 1 times 2n minus 2 over 3n squared. Plus 6n cubed over 1 times n squared minus 4n minus 5 all over 2n cubed. So if you notice here, what we're multiplying right here is in the first spot of each one of these. It's in the first spot of that. And then you just notice the rest of them is just this, bring it down here, bring this down here, bring this down here. So your setup, it's not as bad as what it looks like, okay? You're just bringing everything down in order for you to cancel everything. All right. So from there, let's start to cancel. So I know the 6 right here cancels with this 6. The n squared, and that will cancel with 2 of the n's. Okay. Which leaves, just think, if you had n cubed and n squared, there's 2 n's on the bottom, 3 n's on top. You can cancel 2 of them. So that would leave 1 n right here. So then that leaves me with n times n minus 3 is equal to, come over here, the 3 goes into itself once, it'll go into 6 twice. The n squared cancels with that 3. So I have 2n times 2n minus 2. Then over here, 2 will go into itself once. It will go into 6 3 times. And the n cubes cancel, leaving me with plus 3 times n squared minus 4n minus 5. From there, I just need to distribute everything. Distribute, 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 distribute. No, you don't have to do that, Kenny. If you're fine without doing that, you're cool. Completely fine to skip that step. So then we go n squared minus 3n equals 4n squared minus 4n plus 3n squared minus 12n minus 15. Whoa. Rocket. Okay, so now we just need to combine all like terms. So I have this, I'll do the right side first. This 4n and that 3n. And then this negative 4n and this minus 12n. So then that, oh, sorry about that, guys. Then that gives me n squared minus 3n equals to 4n squared plus 3n squared is 7n squared. Negative 4n minus 12 would be negative 16n minus 15. From there, I need to subtract this n squared from that and add that 3 in here. Everything cancels on this side. And I get 0 is equal to 7 minus 1 is 6n squared minus 13n minus 15. Okay, now for you factoring geniuses out there, let's see if we can figure this out. What will multiply 6 times negative 15 would be negative 90. What will multiply to be negative 90 but add to be negative 13? Chat, hit that in the chat box if you have that. What will multiply to be negative 90, add to be negative 13? Anybody got it yet? Should be finding it to be 18. It would be negative 18 and positive 5. Negative 18 and positive 5. Good, Molly. Okay. So now we can't, since that leading coefficient is not 1, we have to factor by grouping here. So we're going to say 6n squared minus 18n plus 5n minus 15. I factor this by grouping. I get 0 is equal to, I can factor a 6n out here, and I'm left with n minus 3. Here I can factor out a plus 5, and I'm left with n minus 3. I then bring these two together and get 6n minus 5 and n minus 3. And all that's equal 0. So then I set both of those equal to 0. 6n minus 5 equals 0 and n minus 3 equals 0. Well, you add 5 there and get 6n is equal to 5. Correct. It should be positive 5, Taylor. Very good. So I was actually going to subtract it there and get negative 5. Divide both by 6. N is equal to negative 5 over 6. And then add 3 here and get n is equal to 3. The only thing here that makes the denominator 0, or excuse me, 0, would actually be 0 here. So the only number here that makes it 0 or makes it extraneous would be 0. Neither one of those are 0. So my final answer here is negative 5, 6, comma 3. And that's a pretty big problem. Okay. Looking at number 8. Thanks for hanging with me today, guys. I know this has been a pretty long one. N minus 6 over 3n equals 2n squared plus 14n plus 12 over n plus 2n over 3. So I got 3n, I have n, and I have 3. Normally go to your largest one, which would be 3n here, and ask yourself, will that cancel everything else out? It does here. Okay, so it'll cancel the 3 and the n. So I'm going to multiply everything by 3n. I'm going to distribute it into everything. That would then lead me to this. Well, since what I'm multiplying by in the denominator is saying, that would just be n minus 6. Let me draw like a little line of separation here. That would be n minus 6 is equal to, and then here we have to say this, 3n over 1 times 2n squared plus 14n plus 12 over n, and then plus 3n over 1 times 2 over 3. So again, that's just the setup. Now let's cross simplify. The n's cancel there. The 3's cancel here. That leads me to this. N minus 6 is equal to 3 times, it's times the whole thing. 2n squared plus 14n plus 12. And then plus n times 2 is 2n. Now let's distribute the 3 into everything. That's n minus 6 is equal to 6n squared. 14 times 3 is 42n plus 36, and then plus the 2 in there. So then I then combine 2n and 42n, and I get n minus 6 is equal to 6n squared plus 44n plus 36. I then subtract n from both sides, and I add 6 from both sides. Cancels, cancels. 0 is equal to 6n squared plus 43n plus 42. Give you a second to kind of get that caught up. Yeah. Now, here's where I factor. This is a nasty factor problem. So 6 times 42 is 252. What will multiply to be 252 or add to be 43? Now, if you weren't good at factoring, someone type in the chat box what you could do here to find what n is. What else, if I wasn't that good at factoring, or if this was too hard to factor, what could you do here? Very good, Taylor Rice. Quadratic formula. If you remember, the quadratic formula works on all trinomials. Factoring can kind of present some problems. Let's see if we can try to factor it first, though, to kind of save some time. Give me two numbers in the chat box that will multiply to be 252, add to be 43. Very good, Molly. 36 and 7. Molly's like a wizard over there. 0 equals 6n squared. Now let's rewrite it. 6n squared plus 36n plus 7n plus 42. So we remember that's factoring by grouping, and then we factor each group. So then from there, guys, we're going to go. I can take a 6n out of this, and I'm left with n plus 6, and I can pull a plus 7 out of that and get n plus 6. That is 0 equals 6n plus 7 and n plus 6. So I say 6n plus 7 equals 0 and n plus 6 equals 0. Well, I know that's going to be n minus 6. And that's going to be n equals negative 7 over 6. Neither one of these will make our denominator up in our original 0. So therefore, they both work, and neither one of them are extraneous. You can do that, or you can do it like we've been doing it, negative 7 over 6, comma 6. All right, moving right along. Number 9, 2 more problems and we're done, guys. Hopefully we can get through these. Oh yeah, it's -6. I'm telling you, man, I'm on it today. Thank you, Tara. -6, not just 6. I'm all over the place. I apologize. So 9. It's Monday. What can I say? So looking at number 9. Ask myself what I need to multiply everything by. Well, I have 2 of them, 3n and n squared, right? 3n will take care of 3n. This n will take care of one of these n, but it won't take care of the other, so I need to basically add a square there. 3n squared will cancel 3n, and it will cancel n squared. So I need to multiply everything by 3n squared. Oh, sorry, guys. I have no clue why it's so blurry. There we go. Okay. All right. So then let's write all that out. 3n squared over 1 times n plus 5 over 3n minus 3n squared over 1 times n plus 6 over 3n. I'm picking up the speed because, again, this is just formality here. And then 3n squared over 1 times 1 over n squared. That's really not there, so don't want to confuse you. All right, let's cross simplify everything. So cancel an n with an n, cancel 3 and 3, cancel n and an n, cancel 3 and 3, cancel n squared, and cancel n squared. That leads me to this. N times n plus 5, sorry about the shaking of the camera, minus n times n plus 6 equals 3 times 1 is just 3. So let's distribute this. Distribute. N squared plus 5n. And I can actually go ahead and treat that negative with that n and just say this times that and get negative n squared plus 6n. Or excuse me, minus 6n is equal to 3. All right. Then from there, let's add like terms. N squared minus n squared just cancels. 5n minus 6 would be negative n equals 3. Divide both sides by -1, and we get n is equal to -3. All right. I'm looking at 10. Last problem of the day, guys. Be excited. Looking at number 10. Here we go. We got 2 denominators, m and m squared. Look at the biggest one, which would be m squared. Will m squared cancel m? Yes. Will it cancel m squared? Yes. So we're going to multiply everything we have by m squared. So I'm going to distribute that into all 3 of these. Now, M squared times 1. Well, anything times 1 is itself, so that's just M squared. And then plus, now I got to say M squared over 1 times 5 over M. And then is equal to, notice what we're multiplying by and the denominator are the same. So we know those would cancel. So we can just say we can just write the numerator, M squared plus 3M plus 2. Let's clean up this right here. M will cancel with one of those M's. And now I have M squared plus 5M equals M squared plus 3M plus 2. I forgot to check that last one for extraneous, but we know that -3 wouldn't make any of those 0. That just hit my mind. Okay. All right, now let's subtract these two things over. So subtract M squared, subtract 5M. Just need to get it all to that one side. We know it's going to cancel, and give us 0 is equal to, actually those cancel as well. 3 minus 5M would be -2M plus 2. Now I just have to subtract 2 from both sides. I get -2 equals -2M. Divide both sides by -2. And I get M is equal to +1. And that would be my answer there. Any questions on this? If there's no questions, give me thumbs up, smiley face, you're good. Sorry about the mishap in the video earlier. Sorry about that. But now you just need to complete 4.5 homework. Yeah. We'll review that homework on Wednesday. Then we'll start our study guide. You will have a test sometime next week. I don't know what the format of that looks like. I'm working on it this week, actually. So I'll give you some kind of test or quiz over all chapter 4 of next week. If you don't have any questions, you guys can go ahead and start exiting off. Sorry for the a little bit lengthy time today. But sometimes it takes longer than the other one. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me Canvas, or you can stay on. I'll stay on for about 5 or 10 more minutes, just answering any questions that anybody may have. If not, I will see you guys on Wednesday. Hope you're all doing well. Stay quarantined. Stay to yourself.